We'll call this Monday, October 13th City Commission meeting to order. If you would, please stand for the pledge and in the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening. We ask that you give us wisdom to make the best decisions for our beautiful city of Leesburg. In your precious name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move to proclamations, I just wanted to let the crowd know that 6A, 4, 5, and 6, which is Rural Highlands, will now become 6A, 1, 2, and 3, and 6A, 1, 2, and 3 will now become 6, 4, 5, and 6. So we will do Rural Highlands first. And I would just ask, before we go into proclamations, if you have a cell phone, please silence it. All right, and do we have the representatives from here for White Cane Day? We have a proclamation for White Cane Day, and I would like to read that into the record. Whereas the white cane is a powerful and internationally recognized symbol of independence, safety, and equal opportunity for people who are blind or have low vision, and whereas people who are blind or have low vision travel, work, study, raise families, volunteer, vote, and lead in every sector of our community, and their full participation strengthens our economy, culture, and civic life. And whereas mobility training, white canes, and dog guides empower safe and independent travel. And whereas motorists share responsibility for roadway safety and are expected to exercise extreme caution, slow down, and yield to pedestrians using a white cane or traveling with a guide dog. And whereas local organizations, including New Vision for Independence, provide vital vision rehabilitations, orientation, and mobility instructions, technology training, community education that expand access and opportunity. Whereas White Cane Day, observed annually on October 15th, celebrates the achievements of people who are blind or have low vision and raise awareness of safe travel practices and the rights of pedestrians using white canes and dog guides. Now, therefore, I, Alan Reisman, Mayor of the City of Leesburg, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2025 as White Cane Day in the City of Leesburg and encourage all residents to recognize and celebrate the contributions of people who are blind or have low vision, to share the road safely, stop and yield to pedestrians using a white cane or guide dog, and to support organizations that advance accessibility, inclusive design, and equal opportunity. Are those individuals here to accept this proclamation? One second. Yeah, give us 1 second, please. No? Okay. We have no presentations. We will move to public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities of praise. Please note that issues raised during this time will not be discussed in detail during the current meeting. They will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to provide their comments. Kindly adhere to this time limit to ensure equal opportunity for all participants and to support the efficient conduct of the meeting. Thank you. This is public comments for anything not on the agenda tonight. Yes, sir. If you would, just state your name and address for the record.
Evening. I'm Gary Sly. I live and work at 1012 West Main Street. I'm the treasurer for the Downtown Leesburg Business Association, and you guys were kind enough to help us out a few weeks ago. So I wanted to report on a couple things we've had going on lately. First, you probably saw the scarecrows up on the street. We had a great attendance on Saturday morning. Thanks to Romac Lumber for providing resources, and for Mini Split King, one of our new businesses downtown, who did all the construction of the scarecrows this year. That's a long-standing tradition that we took over from the partnership when their board asked us to take that on. Another thing we've done recently is we've revived the Downtown Leesburg map, which you'll find in all local businesses downtown. I brought you a few copies of that so you could take a look at that. When the partnership folded, they asked us if we would take that over, and it's taken us a little while to get there, but we are there now. So thank you all for your support.
Any other public comments on anything not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public comments and we'll move to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting If the commission or staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on the remaining items with one roll call vote. And 3, discuss each item pulled and vote by roll call. Are there any items the commission would like to pull this evening? Seeing none, if I could get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comments? Seeing none, any commission final comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. We'll move to public hearings and non-routine items. During public hearings and non-routine items, the commission requests that those in attendance respect the process and maintain order. As such, in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, please refrain from speaking out, cheering, or applauding during these proceedings. Your cooperation helps ensure a fair and respectful hearing. At this time, if you are speaking on any of the first or second readings tonight, I would ask that our city attorney now swear you in.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anybody here this evening that plans to speak on any of the public hearing items, if you would please stand and raise your right hand. And the ones that we're swearing in for are 6A3, the Oak Ridge PUD rezoning, 6A6, SPUD, Royal Highland rezoning, which was moved, and those were switched on the agenda. So both of those rezonings for second reading. First reading will be 6B3, Legacy Commerce, SPUD, and 6B4, Leesburg Lakefront PUD rezoning. And I'm sorry, I forgot one on the second readings. 6A7, which is 937 East Main Street, rezoning as well. If you would please stand and raise your right hand so we can swear all of you in. All right. Is this everybody?
This is everybody who plans to speak tonight. Okay.
Okay. Or do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Thank you all, Mr. Mayor. They're ready to go.
Thank you, City Attorney. Would someone please introduce 6A 1, 2, and 3, which is the Royal Highlands.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
6A1, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 7.53 plus minus acres, being generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Florida Turnpike, lying in Section 18, Township 21 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, provided that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3 and providing an effective date. 6A2, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 7.53 plus minus acres from Lake County urban low density to City of Leesburg low density residential for property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Florida Turnpike, lying in Section 18, Township 21 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 7.53 plus minus acres from Lake County PUD Planned Unit Development to City of Leesburg SPUD Small Planned Unit Development to allow for a townhome community for a property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and south of the Florida Turnpike, lying in Section 18, Township 21 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Dan Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. The background on this project, it consists of an annexation, small-scale comp plan, and rezoning for a site that is 7.53 plus or minus undeveloped acres. It's generally located on the west side of US 27 and south of Royal Highlands Boulevard and the Florida Turnpike. The request is for future development of a project consisting of 48 attached single-family residential units. When we say attached single-family, that generally means townhouses. Under the overall proposal, that, as stated earlier, it's about 7.5 acres. The comp plan is requesting a future land use amendment from Lake County urban low density to City of Leesburg low density. The zoning change is from Lake County Planned Unit Development to City of Leesburg Small Planned Unit Development. Under the comments as it was sent out, the school board noted that if it's a 55-plus project, it would be subject to school concurrency. It would not be subject to school concurrency if it's a 55-plus project. If it's a non-55-plus age project, then it would be subject to school concurrency. Lake County Public Works had no comments. Under public responses, project was advertised, posted, signs placed out, and letters sent to the surrounding property owners. As you can see, there was significant response to those, including responses including traffic, project density, property values, compatibility, wildlife, environmental crime, etc. Under the PUD requirements for this proposal, this consists of a total of 48 single-family attached units, again, townhomes. And for clarification, a townhome is where you're purchasing the land underneath the home as well as the property within the walls of that home. They're just attached. So they're not condominiums or apartments, and there are no commercial uses permitted under this proposal. Lots would be 20 feet wide with a minimum living area per unit of 1,100 square feet. 2 floors would be the maximum height. There are at least 2 off-street parking spaces required for each unit. The project does include design and architectural standards, which are shown in the PUD, and include things such as a minimum 35% of the property has to be in open space, dark sky lighting, which you're all familiar with. There are trees required between each driveway. 25-foot landscape buffer will be required except where it's not needed due to existing wetland areas. There's a fence along the perimeter except where there are wetlands present. Sidewalks are required throughout the development. And of course, the usual Bahia or Bermuda grass is permitted where St. Augustine is not due to its excessive water usage. Site access is shown on the site plan. Because US 27 is under FDOT authority, the developer will have to provide any and all expansions or upgrades required for the entrywways and roadways as requested by FDOT. There's also a right-in, right-out access point only required on US 27. Like to point out that there is no interconnectivity into the adjacent subdivision. There are recreation requirements consisting of at least 18,000 square feet of active and passive recreation space, which includes things such as a pavilion, dog park, outdoor cooking facilities, tot lot, and other similar uses. There's a requirement for all the development to be on City of Leesburg water and wastewater services, so there can be no wells or septic on. There will be no wells or septic on the property. Through the review process, the City Public Works Department has indicated that there is sufficient capacity to serve the development. There is a phasing or expiration clause, if you will, which requires that the development would move forward within 48 months or it would revert to the RE1 zoning district requirements. It would remain a PUD, but it would now fall under the RE1 zoning requirements, which would be 1 acre per unit. Mr. Tom Daly, Mr. Bill Mackey, and others are here from the Daly Design Group, are here to answer any questions you have, along with Ms. Carolyn Haslam, who is the attorney for the project.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dan.
Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Dan from the commission? Seeing none, we'll go to the developer. Not for the developer.
Good evening. My name is Tom Daly. I'm with Daly Design Group. We're landscape architects and urban planners, 913 North Pennsylvania Avenue, Winter Park, Florida. We're here on behalf of the property owner, GKO Development. When we were here about a month ago, I had given you a PowerPoint presentation. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to briefly go through it again just to bring everybody back up to speed as to what our request is and to the validity of what we're proposing. I don't know where there it is. So let's see if this works. Okay. Like Dan said, and I'll be brief. I realize we have a lot of items on the agenda. It's 5.5 acres. We're requesting that the city, this property be annexed into the city. as part of that, to amend the future land use, and then also to amend the zoning from county commercial, C1, to the city of Leesburg, SPUD. And as Dan pointed out, we're proposing to downzone the property from commercial to a residential use. This is the big picture. That blue line, if you can kind of see it on your screen, that's the ISBA line. So we're within the ISBA line. We are going to be utilizing both city water and sewer, which currently serves Royal Highland homes, Royal Highland community. This is an old one. This has been around since 1994. The original approved master plan was approved for 1,500 units, residential units, 300 recreational vehicles, and 5,000 square feet of retail commercial. After, in 2005, the master plan was amended by the master developer Pringle, and they took the commercial property and they went ahead and deeded that portion of the property, which is at the intersection of the main intersection to the community. They deeded that to the HOA for a softball field. And at that time, then they took the commercial that was currently approved on the corner there and moved it south and changed the zoning to the south. We have access easements that were recorded, which we'll go over. Then we have pickleball, another portion of the former commercial property was deeded to the Homeowners Association in 2009, and that was to construct pickleball courts for the community. And then the property ultimately was purchased by my client in 2023. This is the area around there is the entire Royal Highlands development. Like I said, 1,500 single-family homes. You can see the original approval as the red, that's where the commercial. The purple below it is the site that we're looking to ask to be annexed into the city and to amend the future land use. This was the original approvals. And then you can see the green turns to red. That's when the softball fields and the pickleball courts were deeded over to the Homeowners Association, and the purple was converted to from residential to commercial. At that time, there was still the 1,500 homes approved, 300 recreational vehicle parking, and the commercial, since it was bigger, was approved for 49,500 square feet of commercial uses in the county. This is the site. It's all pretty well cleared. There's a existing pond that's located within the property. That pond currently serves a portion of the Royal Highlands development, and it's also designed to serve this particular property here. There's a berm that was constructed, and we're not sure when it was constructed. It was before our time, but it was constructed by the master developer, as a screening between this property on the frontage of 27 and the existing residential development. With a commercial development, the 49,000 square feet, and this is just an approximate, it would take, based on city code and county code, for 49,500 square feet of just general retail, you'd need about 198 parking spaces to serve that. And that's just based on the code. What this shows is that if we proceeded with the county and we proceeded with the commercial development, it would encroach into that existing pond, it would encroach into that existing berm, and would pave almost the entire property. As you know, commercial development is a lot of parking and a lot of rooftops. And so this is just what it would look like should we move forward with the commercial. This is our site plan. And this is a conceptual site plan. It still has to go through city review and engineering review. But essentially, we're proposing to leave the existing berm, leave the existing pond, because there's homes that view it, that live on it, and focus the development between that berm and US 27. The 27, we would propose not to wall it. It would be more of a landscape berm along the frontage there. But that's the current conceptual plan that we have. This is the site. I don't know if you've driven by it, but it's fairly cleared, maintained, no structures on it. The tree line that you can see at the top there, that is the berm. So the berm has been in for quite a long time. The vegetation that is on it has grown quite a bit since that. Based on the survey, it's a 4 to 5 foot berm, but you can see the size of those trees is 20, 30 feet tall, and it's heavily vegetated. This is a view from the back of the berm from Royal Highlands, and you can see that this is a grassed area that is owned by the developer or my client. But you can see, I'm just showing you this so from the view from the community to that berm and beyond, you can see that a very serious buffer has grown up and been planted. So the buffer is there, it's existing. And this is a little bit more of a detail of the site plan itself. We are proposing a small recreation area. I think Dan pointed out that we would have to have a certain amount of square footage. We're proposing a pickleball court, a dog park, and a picnic pavilion. And that's all part of the submittal documents that we've given to the city. But it's a total of 48 homes versus 49,500 square feet of retail commercial. This is an elevation of what they intend to build. Metal roofs. These are custom designed. I know most of the time what you'll see is, a home builder, a production builder that has a certain formula. These are all being designed specifically for this community and by the developer. They're not a national builder. They're a local builder that builds commercial, builds apartments, builds townhomes for the most part. I think that's my last slide. When I was here last, there were a couple items that were brought up, and I'd like to address them right now so that we can, I don't say expedite, but at least address. Traffic versus commercial versus residential. We had our traffic engineer, who's a licensed engineer, an expert in traffic permitting, and we have a memo that was presented to him, or prepared by him, and we've given that to staff. Based on this memo, the number of trips for a townhome site on a daily basis is about 552. For the retail, it's 3,236 average daily trips. It's significantly more. And remember, this is our traffic engineer who is a licensed and certified traffic engineer who's using the data that all traffic engineers, including the city, would use. So we believe that the traffic impacts are significantly less, besides the common sense of a strip center versus 48 townhomes, but the numbers bear out. The other item that was brought up, and I'm going to have Carolyn come up, and it was right at the end of the hearing, I think, Mr. Mayor, you brought it up. There was a question regarding access easements, and you had asked the city attorney to review the easements that are in place to provide this site with access from Monarch Boulevard and Royal Commerce. So I'm going to have Carolyn come up and explain. We had her do all the title research and everything else.
Hi, good evening. Carolyn Haslam with Ackerman, and my address for the record is 420 South Orange Avenue, Suite 1200 in Orlando. Reviewed the access easement, and although it was drafted at the time that the property was to be developed as commercial, and it is mentioned in the recitals, there's not any restrictions or requirements throughout the document that require the property to be commercial or actually anything. It is an easement that is given specifically to the property, and there's no, termination or restriction on that. So I spoke with Grant Watson about it, and following Florida law, it allows for us to use the easement.
Yeah, and I would just jump in. I did review that easement as well, and I didn't see anything in there that indicated that the use of the property benefited by the easement had to be commercial. It runs with the land, is benefiting the successors and assigns of Pringle at the time. So I didn't see anything in there that clearly limited the scope of the easement or the ability to utilize the easement to that parcel being commercial. So, typically, unless it's specifically stated in an easement, you're not going to have that kind of restriction. But that was my read on it after reviewing that as well.
So again, we believe that we have legal access to the property. And so, and I know that was one of the issues that was brought up, that some folks here last time felt we didn't, but we do. And the lawyers have confirmed that. And then finally, something that we did reach out to the school board with regards to the, school, capacity. And the school board, I think we've sent this also to Dan and his team, they determined that the size of this development would be considered what they would call de minimis. Like, there's not enough kids that would be coming from this should children be here for the school board to have any concerns regarding capacity of any students from this community. So with that, I'll just close. And of course, I would like the opportunity to get back up, but let's just remember, we're asking to annex a property that's in the ISBA, which we have every right to do, and you have every right to accept. We're asking to downzone this property significantly from commercial, 49,500 square feet of commercial, to 48 townhomes. That's a huge drop in any impact, whether it's water, sewer, schools, roads. It's all a dramatic reduction in what we're asking for. And we would just like to be annexed into the city. We would like the city to approve this SPUD. One of the things about the SPUD, and what reason we're asking for that, is there's a lot of specificity in the staff reports and the development agreements about what we can do, what we can't do. So that's in the record, and if you choose to approve it, that becomes the approval document. Not anything else or misunderstandings between what I have said to you or, what's believed to be, what I said, because I think last time there was some, concerns about that. But bottom line is the document you have is the document that we'll be beholden to. And so I'll ask any questions that you have, or I'll just reserve my time.
Thank you. Any questions for the developer? And then I have a question for Grant, if no questions for the developer. Grant, can you talk about the letter we received from the county regarding this application?
Yeah, I think everyone on the commission did receive a letter from the county that was sent out on Friday that raised a question about this particular application for annexation. As Dan and everyone mentioned, this was being annexed pursuant to the ISBA that the city has with the county. There are statutory requirements that still attach to the process in addition to the ISBA. One of those requirements is that if you're dealing with non-contiguous property, then there are... All right, I'm sorry. If you're dealing with non-contiguous property, you've got to do one of two things. You've either got to send the proposed comprehensive plan amendment to the state for them to review and comment on it before the annexation can take place, or there needs to be an existing joint planning agreement between the city and the county. There is not an existing joint planning agreement, so the only option that the city has is to transmit the comprehensive plan amendment to the state before annexation. As I understand it, that has not happened at this point. And so if the city were to move forward tonight with approving annexation, then I think there would be a question whether the statutes have been followed. And I would suggest at that point probably a continuance so that everything could be sent to the state. So just want to point that out. That's basically what the letter was saying. If you want to move forward with annexation, then we need to verify that this was sent to the state for review before you annex. It doesn't appear that it was sent to the state for review before tonight, and so that's what that letter was about.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions for Grant?
I do have a question. Grant, with that said, can we go ahead and just vote on the annexation to see if we even want to move forward before we even get into the rest of this?
Yeah, I think you probably could vote. I think that any yes vote would need to be contingent on sending it to the state and seeing what the state's review would be.
So we could go ahead and have a vote on the annexation, see if we even want to move forward with submitting.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
the
I
state.
think you could almost treat it to an extent sort of like we do with transmittal hearings. You know, you would have a vote before deciding to transmit. That process is not necessarily spelled out in the statute, but I think under the circumstances that you could proceed that way.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to see if we even want to move forward with this
With the
on it,
annexation.
with an annexation.
So we have a motion on the floor for 6A1, which is the annexation of Royal
Yes.
Highlands.
Just
What was-
just for clarification.
what was the motion?
Because yeah, well,
Yeah, we are.
because Commissioner's changing the motion on the table, so the motion on the table is to approve the annexation. So perhaps the Commissioner just wants to call the question on the table, which is
Oh.
to vote for annexation.
Yeah.
Yes, if we want to annex or not.
And if there's more yes votes than no, let's revisit that.
Okay. So you'll,
Yes.
That's good.
so call the vote.
So you need to vote on, so the Commissioner's calling the question to immediately vote on the annexation question. So you
Yes.
need to vote to call the question, and then if that's affirmative, then you'll vote on the motion whether or not to annex.
Correct.
So-
All right.
Okay.
So we have a call to vote, so we will do roll
the
call.
question, yep.
So this is to,
Annex the property.
No, this is to-
call the question.
to call the question.
So if you just want to call the question right now, you vote yes.
Okay.
Call the question.
Meaning you'll move immediately to consider whether or not you're going to annex the property.
Gotcha.
If we don't want to annex it, is it a yes? or
No, if you don't want to talk about it anymore and you just want to move to a vote, you vote yes.
On this call to vote.
Yes. Okay.
So this is a roll call on the call to vote.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes.
So that's 4 votes to call the question.
So
So
we
the
will-
question on the floor is whether to annex. If you want to annex the property, you vote yes. If you don't want to annex, you vote no. If we have more yeses than nos, then we'll have to consider whether or not we transmit.
Correct.
So we need a second to Commissioner Connell's motion?
No,
No,
you're good.
we already-
You're
we
you
already
are
had the
now
original
in the
motion.
motion on the
Okay.
floor, which is to annex.
So
Okay.
roll call on to annex.
Commissioner Berry? No. Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Berry?
No.
Mayor Reesman?
No.
So that's 0 to 4, the motion fails. And with the failure of that motion, we don't need to do the land use or the zoning ordinances.
Those would be moot based on the annexation vote. Yes, sir.
So,
So we will now go to,
Yeah.
so the Royal Highlands failed, so it will not be happening. So. Hey, guys, I appreciate the applause, but let's remain calm. We'll take a 5-minute recess and then we'll move into the next item.
no, when you, if somebody does, if the commission wants to keep.
Move them out. Y'all go talk outside. We got business.
To order. Would someone please introduce 6A 4, 5, and 6, which was the Oak Ridge?
I'll introduce 6A 4, 5, and 6 to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
6A4, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 596.29 plus minus acres, being generally located east of County Road 48 and south of Ronald Reagan Turnpike, lying in sections 28, 29, and 32, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date. 6A5, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 596.29 plus minus acres from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located east of County Road 48 and south of Ronald Reagan Turnpike, lying in sections 28, 29, and 32, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A6, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 596.29 plus minus acres from Lake County A Agriculture to City of Leesburg PUD Planned Unit Development to allow 910 single-family attached and detached units for property generally located east of County Road 48 and south of Ronald Reagan Turnpike, lying in sections 28, 29, and 32, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the Oak Ridge PUD, by way of background, this project does include an annexation, large-scale comp plan, and rezoning. The site consists of 596.28 plus or minus undeveloped acres, is generally located on the east side of County Road 48 and south of the Florida Turnpike. The request is for future development of 910 attached and detached single-family residential units and their associated amenities. Under the overall proposal, the comp plan request is to go from county rural to City of Leesburg estate, and the zoning request to go from Lake County agriculture to City of Leesburg PUD. Under the PUD requirements, the proposal consists, again, of 910 single-family units, which are split into two home types. There'd be 642 detached single-family homes and 268 villas. And when we say villas, what we're usually talking about is duplexes. There are no other uses permitted. Breaking this down further, on the attached units, there would be 268 of those villas on 35-foot lots, a 70-foot lot for each villa unit. A minimum size, house size of 1,200 square feet, so that would be a 2,400 square foot building, 1,200 for each unit within the duplex. On the detached units, 37 units would be on 70-foot lots, and those are located on the perimeter areas of the property as seen on the site plan. Those would have 1,800 square foot minimum house sizes. Then 46 units would be on 60-foot lots with 1,700 minimum house size in square feet. And then the remainder, the 559 would be on 50-foot lots with 1,500 square foot living area, and living area is defined here as under roof. There are design and architectural standards which are required and shown in the PUD. 2 floors maximum height, 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit, 35% minimum open space. This proposal has significantly more than that. Dark sky lighting along the streets is required, trees in each yard, 25-foot landscape buffer is required along the entirety of the property boundaries except where it's not needed due to some wetland areas that are existing. There would be a 3-foot berm with a 4-foot fence along County Road 48, and there's also a perimeter fence except where there is a berm or wetland present. There are sidewalks required throughout the proposed development, and again, use of bahia or Bermuda grass is permitted. Access was shown on the site plan. There will be 3 main access points, all to be boulevard entrances, landscape median at least 8 feet in width along those, and that means there would be enough lane area for emergency vehicles to turn around and maneuver if needed. Signage would have decorative entry feature of concrete block, brick, stucco wall, or a sign within the area of the roadway, the median area of the roadway, at least 5 feet high on there. There is interconnectivity to the adjacent subdivisions back to the east, which would complete the development proposals from County Road 33 all the way to 48, so you could drive through the neighborhoods to go from one of those roads to the other. There are 4.18 acres of recreation required, including pool, cabana, children's playground, dog park, and a very extensive walking trail that is being provided along the wetlands areas. Everything has to be on city water and wastewater, no wells or septic out there. And then there is a phasing, the standard phasing clause, which goes for 4 years and would revert to the RE1, which is 1 acre per unit if necessary. Mr. Logan Opsel of Lown, Drostick, Doster, Cantor, and Reed of Orlando is here to represent the case and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any questions for Mr. Miller before we go to the developer? Seeing none? Oh, yes, sir.
We did receive a second letter with regard to this property. Do you want to talk?
I was going to bring that up after the developer
Okay,
presentation.
that'd be fine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
If the developer would like to come up and give his presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Good evening, Logan Opsal, 215 North Eola Drive. I will be brief as we're here tonight on second reading, and so some of this we've been able to go over. Given some of the specifics that we've heard and including in the hallway, I want to address a couple key items, and I'm happy to stand for any questions. This is the overall assemblage of the property, a different aerial than you previously saw with Dan's presentation. You'll hear me note as well, this property is bounded by city property, and so the outline is the future land use map of the city of Leesburg. And here is the zoning, so again, surrounded by either planned unit development or age-restricted development across 48. Say look at some of the other developments around the area immediate vicinity with their associated densities. A quick history on this, and you may recall from first reading, this had some cattle operations, and more recent past, the sod stripping, you can see that on this aerial. One of the considerations that we have, which I'll touch on in later slides, is given the sod stripping activity, as you might imagine, when it rained or when it was dry, it was either dust or quite significant runoff. As we look to develop this property, stormwater considerations, natural vegetation, water clarity, water purification through that natural process is an important component of the build-out of this project. Dan touched on some of the amenities, and although we have some required minimums, there are extensive multi-use trails throughout the wetlands, which we view as an amenity to this overall project, nature trails, neighborhood parks, activity centers, but again, that multi-use trail which runs along the wetlands as an amenity to the residents. Here's a look at the conceptual renderings of the project, which you'll see readily apparent is the green and blue. The green is significant wetlands. So this property, given the shaping of it, is to track the upland areas while the wetland portions remain and the water as well. This project also creates some wetlands in key areas. The PUD ordinance before you has minimum open space requirements outlined by staff. What's before you is about double that, 70% open space. And again, that natural vegetation and wetland creation expansion, which I'll touch on again as well here as we continue this slide. Natural landscaping, particularly around the stormwater and wetland areas for additional habitat, but the key here being the enhanced stormwater treatment and the after condition as it relates to the before of that runoff. The pedestrian trails, the boardwalks, I will note too, and this was the comment I wanted to make to the gentleman as well. Following a community meeting, we had shown extensive boardwalk that reached that portion of the assemblage that runs to the east and out towards Clear Lake. We have removed that amenity to not encroach on any view shed. So I want to make sure we clarify that boardwalk has been removed and will not be included. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and reserve a little bit of time to respond to some of the questions we hear.
Sir, again, I would want to refer to the city attorney to respond to that letter we received.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there was a second letter that everybody received from the county commissioners that addressed a question, I guess, with regard to roadway maintenance and the ISBA. So the county has raised, I guess, the question, or they recommended that the city, if this property is annexed, that the city take over maintenance of 48 from CR 27 over to the Sumter County line. And so that's a pretty significant stretch of 48. The county didn't necessarily give any real justification or support for why that request was being made. So we asked for a little bit of clarification on that, with the question being, if this property is annexed into the city of Leesburg, is it the county's position that the city would be required to take over maintenance of 48 from 27 over to the Sumter County line? And the response was, at this point, that we're not able to get a lot of clarification from Public Works in the county, but if the property meets the criteria of the ISBA, then yes, the city should take the road over. So what we don't really know is whether or not this meets the criteria. I think there's some questions of interpretation. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that and I'm looking at section 3E of the 2014 Leesburg ISBA, not exactly the model of clarity, but it does indicate that we're looking prospectively, right? The beginning of this is from the effective date of this agreement, upon annexation of a sum greater than 50% of the existing frontage of properties abutting any subject road right-of-way, ... Leesburg shall assume maintenance responsibility for the segment and associated drainage facilities not terminating at any right-of-way center line. It goes on and talks about the city not being required to take over roads that don't meet city standards. But what we don't really have clarity on is, well, where are we measuring the roadway from? If we're excluding properties that were already within the city of Leesburg when the ISBA was signed, because we're going from the effective date of the ISBA, like I said, I don't really know what the county's position is, other than maybe it meets the criteria, and if it does, the city of Leesburg should take over 48 for maintenance perspective.
So you made a comment about properties that were previously in the city. So prior to the ISBA agreement, Secret Promise was in the city?
Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, you can jump in. I mean, I would say
So the county, I won't be short. So give me a minute. But I think this is important information for the commission to have as you consider this, because it's a significant road implication, which is part of the things that you have to consider during annexation. And the county's letter, I think, is a little bit of a significant wrench in the wheel, because it doesn't have a real legal answer, and it's more of a policy flexation. And I say that because on 2 issues this evening, you received feedback from Lake County. One was from the county attorney, and the county attorney argued legal points about the Royal Highlands annexation and this annexation, the Oak Ridge annexation. But those points were from the county attorney and argued matters of law. That is different than the letter that you received from the BOCC and signed by Chairman Campione, representing the BOC, which encouraged and stated and stipulated and recommended that if you do this annexation, then this annexation being Oak Ridge, then the city has to take 48 from the intersection 27 to the county line, given that it's a rural collector, blah, blah, blah. So I think that gives you three positions this evening to consider in this annexation action. A, don't annex it for whatever reasons. And again, it's a legislative thing, so you don't have to have a legal reason not to annex it. B, annex it and flirt with whatever potential challenge may come from the county. Or B, table it until we get a more definitive answer about what the county position is on the ISBA. So given that there may be a tabling of a definitive answer from the ISBA, let me share you staff's interpretation of the letter. And this is from the city perspective. Your city staff, led by myself, also with the Deputy City Manager Robert Hicks, and with our planning department, Dan Miller and Candy Harper, we have met twice with county staff, led by County Manager Jennifer Barker and the county attorney, reviewing the ISBA. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in my matters at the end of the meeting. In those conversations, I expressed to the county that I didn't think in any circumstance that the city needed to take 48. When the county submitted back to us the roads that they thought we needed to take pursuant to the ISBA, which is referenced by this letter, 48 was not on that action list, which I'm going to review with you later this evening. That indicates to me that the BOCC knows that we don't have to take 48. But I don't know that for a fact because you got a letter stipulating that we may or we're encouraged to. So I don't know what that means. Our position, as I expressed to Grant, as well as the county, and I know everybody in the room can't see this, but this is an important map because what this highlight is this the black shaded area. That is the city limits boundary prior to 2013. That's an important date because prior to 2013, there was no ISBA agreement. And we the city of Leesburg entered into 2 ISBA agreements with the county, the 2013 and then what I call the supplemental 2014 agreement. The references that the BOCC is using in the letter is that if you take portions of annexed area that front county roads, the city too has to take those roads. Our argument back to the county is this. And its section is paragraph 3, E and F, I think, speak to, in the 2014 ISBA agreement, speak to this road condition. The city's position, the city staff position, is that 50% of the frontage of 48 is already abutted by city limits. Therefore, when we entered into the ISBA, that clause in the ISBA agreement can't be tripped. So as we annex in areas along 48, right, along 48 that aren't in the city limits now, there's already 50%, so we'll never acquire 50% of road frontage because, I'm going to use fake numbers, because 75% of it's already in the city. And therefore, if 75% of it is already in the city, that paragraph doesn't trip us requiring to take 48. That would be our legal argument that we would ask Grant to argue. Secondly, I think we probably also get into discussions about the purpose of county roads, and I think that rural collector or whatever is not a legal argument back to us not to annex or that we would have to take it. I think that's important because if it is your all's collective decision to annex this property, you need to annex it with some caution in that A, you may get a challenge from the county stipulating that you got to take this road. So once we ring the annexation bell, you know, it's going to be hard to unring it because now we're going to encumber developers and these type of things. And so I don't know if you want to do that in the atmosphere that the county has charged on us, that warning us that if you take this road, you got to take 48. So if you blindly just annex it, we might have a sticky wicket. If you think we should annex it, but you want delineated clarification from the county before we move forward, then I would recommend that you table it. If you think that you don't want to annex it at all, then don't annex it at all, and it's a moot point.
I have a question, please. Can you give me a landmark where the Sumter County line is? Is there something there that I can visualize to see?
There's a sign.
I know, other than the sign, a landmark. I'm sorry.
It's about.
About how many I'm asking how many miles?
Probably about 3 or 4 from the Okahumpka intersection of 470, 33, 48. If you take 48 for about 4 miles, you're going to hit Sumter County.
That helps me, 4 miles, thank you.
Ish.
So I did have, when I read the letter, Grant, it, to me, it's written to our mayor, and it says, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. So is this the official position of the county commissioners? That's because when you read it, that's what it says.
That's the indication. Okay. And as I said, when I asked for further clarification, if the city annexes, then would the city be required to take the road under the county's perspective? I did not get an answer.
Yeah, and this was written on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we had a lot of time to look at. And did you get a copy of that from the
I got a
How did you-
copy. I got a copy of the Royal Highlands letter. I did not receive a copy of the Oak Ridge letter until today.
Yeah, that, just want to make a point that this is the kind of stuff that makes it very difficult for us as commissioners to have this all play in the sandbox together when things like this, get thrown our way. So, again, that's my point.
Yes, sir.
I have another question I'm listening to. With the infrastructure, the cost, will the developers take any of the hits of the cost with this? I mean, could we offset with them?
The broad answer is yes. The PUD is written in a fashion that any road development or any road development issues they have, widening, ingress, egress, and they're responsible for that as a condition to move forward. That's the transportation paragraph. I don't know what's paragraph 8 or something like that in the PUD. So the October 10 letter also references traffic. It references flooding. It references stormwater issues. And again, we have said this ad nauseum, time, and maybe I'm being obnoxious, but the BOCC, I think, as a whole, continues not to read our PUDs. And our PUDs state that these things have to be approved prior to a development order. So roads, we've already stipulated in the PUD that the roads have to be developed by the way the county requires it. We've already stipulated in the PUD that you have to build your drainage plan pursuant to the district. So those fears that were stipulated in the letter are covered in the PUD.
And I think there were significant comments on 48 coming out of the county as well.
As there should be.
As the developer, sir, are you aware of all of the
Well, I think
potential costs?
I think the city manager made a good point, and the commissioners. This letter came in on Friday. I wasn't aware of it. I haven't
That's
put
what I'm
eyes on it,
asking.
and I'd be doing my client a disservice for to put forward to this body a decision that, quite frankly, needs some more information. And in that spirit, I think we have a vested interest to have some clarity on this, and it may make some sense to table this item.
Well, may I make a motion then, please? Or did anybody else have any comments?
You're up.
May I make a motion that we table this until we get further information?
Why don't you table to a date certain because it's under the auspices of the advertisement?
That's right.
So
We'll need
I would
time,
give
date,
us
and
a month.
location.
Why don't you give us a month,
Would that be
Commissioner?
sufficient enough to get
It should
information
be
from
to bring it
both?
back to the first November meeting?
November 10th will be the first meeting.
Check.
Logan, is
Logan, are you
November
okay
10th
with
sound
November
okay
10th?
with you?
I'm clarifying now. Yes, sir. I have it on my. I'll be here.
I move that we table this
To the
conversation to November 10th meeting.
Is that Veterans Day?
Day before.
So Tuesday.
Tuesday's the
Tuesday holiday, so we have the 10th.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second to table until November 10th, a date certain for the Oak Ridge. Any further discussion from the commission? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reason?
Yes. So this
Thank you
item
for
will
your
lay
time.
over till November 10th. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to state, comment, I want to make sure that we're clear. We'll be getting all information in to make further, an understanding of what is expected from the letter that we received and what we are anticipating with the developers doing all of the things that they're listed.
Yes, and I'll pontificate on that a little more under my matters
Okay.
later in the meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Or at least that's our hope.
We will move on to 6A7. Would someone please introduce?
I think we need to table the,
Oh. Two-
the other two items, yes,
So we need
sir.
to table 5 and 6 as well to a date certain.
I'll make a motion that we table item 5 and 6 also to date certain November 10th.
Okay? We have a motion on
City
the-
Hall at 5:30, right?
at 5:30. We have a motion on the floor. I need a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call for moving 5 and 6.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Reason?
Yes, thank you. Now we'll move to 6A7. Would someone please introduce?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 0.40 plus minus acres from City R2 Medium Density Residential to C3 Highway Commercial to correct a spot zoning for property generally located east of Cloud Street and south of East Main Street, lying in Section 26, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the property on East Main Street, on the south side of East Main Street. .4 developed acres. There's a single-family house on it right now. It's just east of Cloud Street. It's across from the City Public Works facility. They're requesting a change from R2, under the zoning only, to R2, which is medium-density residential, to C3, which is highway commercial. Staff was looking at this from the standpoint of cleaning up the zoning map to be consistent with the zoning in the area. As we stated in the last meeting, this is a spot zoning, a situation where one zoning is completely surrounded by others, and the potential uses are not consistent in the general area. There were no comments from the City Department, School Board, Lake County Public Works, et cetera. No comments from the public. Because it's a straight zoning, there are no conditions, no phasing or expiration clauses. The issue that was spoken about last meeting and was in regard to the semi-trucks which are parked there. If the zoning is approved, the trucks can remain. If the zoning is not approved, then it would be under the R2 and the trucks would have to go. Simple summary.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions for Dan? Any commission comments?
I'm still in agreement of my comments from the last meeting. I think that our focus is enhancing the character of the city and making sure that the code enforcement are doing a tremendous job in making sure that everyone is following the rules and guidelines to uphold the city's look and maintain integrity. So I still stand where I am with far as not agreeing to do a spot zoning.
Any comments? While I appreciate staff's effort on this, I would agree with Commissioner Berry. I think our code enforcement is doing a good job. There are multiple semis in this area on this property. It is an eyesore, in my opinion, and that's not what we want in that area. So I will also agree with Commissioner Berry in her comments.
I do have a question. What's the zoning around it, Dan?
The zoning around it is C3. The current zoning on the property is R2. It
So-
became a spot zoning years and years ago.
So they're only asking for the same zoning that's all the way around them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The applicant only came to the city for a spot zoning because he is incurring or has a pending litigation case or case against him from code enforcement. So that was the only thing that triggered
It
this.
cleans
The-
up
the
a
problem
spot
with
zoning.
There's not technically a spot, there is a spot zoning situation, but is it really does the spot zoning issue carry the gravitas of what a spot zoning really does? And in this case, no. Why is that the case? Because our commercial zoning allows you to use residential. So even though there's residential next door, the neighbors have built residential in a C3, then we have a C3 being used as a C3, and then you have a C3 being used as residential. So because there's residential next door, that's the conflict. So is it a spot zoning issue? That's why the case is before you. And if you want to see, unfortunately, that's really the matter. If you want to see the trailers move, then you need to vote no. If you think the trailers are okay, because C3 is C3, and that allows for residential as well as commercial uses, which is a house or storage of trailers, then you should vote yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to follow up on that. So the zoning on both sides is C3, but it's being used for residential.
Yes, that is correct,
Okay,
because
but-
C3 does allow residential.
So the property on either side says C3 zoning, but it's being used for residential. But if they wanted to put trucks there, they could do that.
That is my understanding of the code, yes, sir.
So the zoning on either side would allow for what he's asking for. It's just, it's not being utilized that way, but they could do it.
Yes, sir, that's my understanding of the code.
Weren't
Okay,
the-
so,
Those are Habitat for Humanity.
I was gonna say,
homes,
weren't those
correct?
Habitat homes that we put there?
I believe they were.
So therefore, the trucks go or the homes go? That's how I look at it, because we're enforcing that, we're trying to enforce, that we keep our residential areas residential without utility vehicles, RVs, semi-tractor trailers, and if I'm not mistaken, there's 3 at that location. Am I correct? So, this is houses that we've granted to residents, in which they're beautiful homes, by the way, but unfortunately, they're in a commercial area. It's right across from Control, across from Public Works area. So who bears where do we go from this, as a city, and making decisions on this?
but the zoning on either side would, even though they're using it for residential, would allow for the truck parking.
But it's a residential area, the 2 homes there
But
makes it
still-
residential.
But they could still have a truck there.
But if we,
My understanding of the
but
code.
if we zone,
Or they could take that house and
that's what I
make
just
an
said.
office building out of it. I just seem to think, you've got a piece of property that's in the middle of the zoning on either side of him of what he's asking for. I don't think it's out of line for what he's asking for. Either side could do what he's doing.
Well, that is true because the way the zoning is set up and the
Sure.
way the Habitat homes were provided to the residents.
Sure.
However, for the district that we're trying to convey to other residential areas, you can't have semi-tractor trailer trucks parked in your home, in your backyard, or on the side of your house. So,
You could on either side of him.
Can I ask a question?
Sure,
Jay?
absolutely.
So the property itself, where the semis are parked, what is the use of the property right now? What happens on that property? Is there a business run out of there?
It's a single-family home.
It's zoned residential and then put in commercial. Everything is inverse. The old zoning was residential, then we came in and blanketed and changed things and made it this commercial stuff, leaving that lot as residential, and then the commercial developed as residential, because that was one of the things, but then this guy was residential, never got changed and developed as commercial.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like our mixed uses are hurting us in this case. So the question becomes,
That's
in a
right.
Dan's perspective, the holistic planning perspective is, well, it really all should be C3.
Purely being a purist planner, that's my take. However, with respect to your opinion, staff
But
is
at a
listening.
practicality,
But what it
what's
is.
developed hasn't, we've got everybody going into one specific similar category of the usage, which is making the older one. So it's a bit of a quandary, and I think we've laid it out the best we can for you.
Well, the truth of the matter is, the history was the family that owned that land actually worked at Minute Maid. So there was never an issue for walking across the street to be convenient to work. So now they're gone, family's gone, and now the land has been donated and given to Habitat Homes, which we have allowed to build there. And now we're trying to enforce the rules of keeping our residential, and now we're in a situation that we're in the middle of a commercial. How do we justify and explain to others to say a sign up to say this is commercial slash, it's just something to consider. And I feel, as being in District 1 and trying my best to enforce the residential homes be residential homes, it's very difficult when that's a main corridor that you pass coming into the city and you see the tractor trailers parked in.
But they were allowed to build these houses in
That's what
the
I'm
commercial.
saying.
So you're not gonna change that zoning
No, we
back
can't.
to residential. So that seems like to me, you're kinda like penalizing whoever owns this piece of property, that he can't have the same zoning that the property on each side of him has.
The other home doesn't have any trucks. It's just
But
this
they
gentleman does.
could.
They could.
He's just asking for the
Yeah.
zoning.
Right.
I mean, I think you're isolating him and saying he can't have the same zoning of, that the property on either side of him has. That just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Well-
If none of it was zoned commercial, I would agree
Well,
with you.
that's where I'm getting ready to go with you now, Commissioner. What will happen once, if ever, the changes from where Catrali is located becomes residential? Then what do we do then? We flip back to this one home to accommodate? I'm looking for future. I'm trying to think how it seems to me, we have allowed one thing to happen, and now we can correct it at this juncture. But if we continue, and then say in the future where Catrali is, and we now maybe own it or that land, and we want to develop and do something else, now we'll be back at square one, rezoning it to accommodate what we're trying to go there. I just think that we should be, I just want to try to be as consistent as we can throughout the city and not allow for one area
Right.
to
Well,
another
To
area.
me, consistent would be to change it to commercial, so it is consistent. But Dan, how many lots, or how far does this commercial zoning go along that strip?
The commercial zoning runs along here, Mr. Commissioner, for C3, but it's this one that is the
So
R2.
you got one amongst about, what, at least 6
There's
lots?
several lots in there
It's
that
a
are.
whole
so-
east of Main
so-
Street,
so
from East
consistency-
Street to
so
Lake
con-
Street,
so
if that gives you an
consistency
idea.
would be to change this to be compatible with the zoning all the way down that strip. That would be consistency.
In your opinion?
Well, then what would it not be?
I think that,
What is consistency? It's the same.
I'm asking for you to realize that we maybe, as the city, allowed things to happen that we probably didn't think about at the time. And now we're in a situation where we're trying to be consistent throughout the city. And now we have this one area that we have to say, okay, well, these trucks can remain here because this is a commercial area. But down the street, 2 blocks to the right on East Street, those trucks can't remain there because it's a residential area.
Well, it's 2 blocks away. I mean, that's the way zoning works. I mean, it's not consistent throughout the city. It's consistent in the area. And like I said, I just don't, I think consistency is to give it the same zoning as everything else around it.
I think
I think I've
we
said
can
my
agree to
piece.
disagree.
We agree to disagree, exactly.
All right. Any public comments on this item? Yes, sir. You can come up. You have 3 minutes, sir. State your name and address for the record.
This is the owner, Mr. Al Malone.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. When I bought the property almost 10 years ago, it wasn't made aware to me about all the commercial properties around us at all. We've looked at the Public Works Department, which was an eyesore for the longest time. You could see that piece of property on the left there with the roof all rusted out and everything. Everything around there is commercially zoned. We haven't had not one complaint in all those years, okay, that we've been there. Okay, we put a sign up to change the zoning, not one complaint came in. There's people parking RVs, there's people parking whatever they want to park elsewhere. But I'm pertaining to this property, the cutout for the curb cutout in front of the property is 36 feet wide. The curb cradle is 36 feet wide. That's enough to get anything in and out. So you're not even infringing on the curbing. It's already cut out, it's been that way. There's a no parking sign anytime in front of the house that came with the house when I purchased it. Okay, I didn't change anything. Matter of fact, if I did anything, I improved on it immensely. Okay, I was under the understanding that the city gave the property to the people who built the houses. Okay, so why didn't they, if they were going to change zoning, they should have done it then. Okay, so yes, I'm asking for a C3 zoning or commercial, and the trucks are in and out on a daily basis as well. Okay, so it's not, yeah, we're conducting business, but at the same time, so is everybody else there. Okay, and they're conducting business in those new homes too. And I don't want to get into that, okay, because I really feel like some of you people really know what's going on there. Okay, you did a really good job donating the property, but you can check with the police department and see what's been going on over there. I'm on my business though. I'm bringing it to your attention, okay? Because it's not as quiet as you may think it is. Okay, so it could be commercial in other ways that, you know, it's a big word, right? So, and I'm the only piece of property residentially zoned, and I've got 14 seconds. But to be honest with you, that commercial zoning goes all the way up to the tool rental place on the corner of Lake, all the way. And then beyond that, because then Romac starts, and then the hospital starts. It's all the way.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Alberti, I do appreciate your comments. I am well aware of the area. Would you be opposed to parking your trucks at leasing an area to park your trucks at another location?
Yeah, it would be,
Okay.
because of what's happening there.
Okay.
I mean, I did.
I'm only
I
asking.
haven't had not one complaint.
All right, are there any other public comments on this item? All right, we're going to close public comments and bring it to the commission. Any final comments? If none, we'll do roll call. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't comment, but
You're good.
I think this is a situation, we have done a good job of giving property to Habitat for residential use, but the zoning, as Commissioner Connell points out, is uniform through the area, and his ask is not out of character with the area. My understanding would be that if one of those Habitat homes wanted to change to a commercial venture, they could do that with the current zoning. So, you know, we are really penalizing him for the zoning of the whole area. And I don't like that, you know, you've got residential and you've got semis. I mean, and ideally, that's, you know, I get it,
Exactly, and
that
I
it
think
doesn't
that
look good.
due
aesthetically.
diligence wasn't done for us Habitat, and I don't believe you can change a Habitat home into a commercial area, can you? I don't
The
think so.
zoning on it is what we're being told by Dan is the zoning.
Well, that's how it is, but I don't think that's how it's set up to build a Habitat
Well,
home
whoever the
to
owner
provide it
is
as
now,
well.
I mean,
I'm just saying, that's not the
Once
process.
they
so.
got it paid off, they can do whatever
they
they
can
want.
do whatever they want, yeah.
This was 2 years ago, am I mistaken, Habitat home? 3 years.
When the
3
homes
years.
were
3
built?
years, sir, yeah. 3 years for the homes there.
They've been there a while. yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Any other commissioner comments?
No, I have no more.
All right, we'll do roll call on 6A7.
Okay, so wait a minute, what are we doing?
6A7 is for the spot zoning.
Yes.
Roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
No.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
No. Would someone please introduce 6A8?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, consenting to the inclusion of the City of Leesburg, Florida, within the countywide municipal service taxing unit for the provision of ambulance and emergency medical services as adopted by the Board of County Commissioners of Lake County, Florida, provided for the city to be included within the MSTU for a specific term of years, providing for conflicts and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments from the commission? Any public? Did someone have some? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call on 6A8.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A9?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending Section 7-170 of the City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, amending the existing facade sign and landscape grant program, expressing purpose, eligible locations, creating an application process and criteria, setting forth requirements and conditions, implementing procedures, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing a savings clause, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to,
Yes, sir.
just for the record, I did speak to city manager today about this, just to reconfirm that no properties would be eligible for this grant if there was existing code violations on the property. I mean, obviously the intent of this is to clean up the property. And I'd hate to see city give somebody $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a sign, and as the scenario I gave city manager, they got 2 stories of used tires stacked behind it. So, okay, I just want to make sure.
Any other commission comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call on 6A9.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Would someone please introduce 6A10?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, regulating City of Leesburg water and wastewater capacity impact fees, providing for legislative findings and intent, adopting a water and wastewater system impact fee study dated September 4, 2025, as amended, amending Chapter 22 Utilities of the Code of Ordinances relating to water and wastewater utility impact fees, providing for codification and Scrivener's errors, providing for conflicts, providing for a savings clause, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the commission? Any public comments? Seeing none, roll call on 6A10.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. 6B1, 2, and 3, if someone would please introduce.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only, please.
6B1, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 7.3 plus minus acres, being generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of University Avenue, lying in Section 24, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date. 6B2, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 7.3 plus minus acres from Lake County Urban Low to City of Leesburg General Commercial for property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of University Avenue, lying in Section 24, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6B3, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 7.3 plus minus acres from Lake County A agriculture to City of Leesburg SPUD Small Plan Unit Development to allow for 50,200 square feet of multi-use office warehouse buildings for a property generally located west of U.S. Highway 27 and north of University Avenue, lying in Section 24, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy. This is a first reading, and will lay over till November 24th. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for the Legacy Commerce Center. This is an annexation, small-scale zoning, and small-scale comp plan and rezoning for 7.3 acres on the west side of US 27 and south of University Avenue. The request is for approval of a future development which will consist of 50,200 square feet of multi-use office and warehouse buildings. This is at Lake County. This is a future land use application request for Lake County, from Lake County Urban Low to City of Leesburg General Commercial, and the zoning would go from Lake County Agriculture to City Small Plan Unit Development. Under the conditions of the SPUD agreement, again, 50,000 square feet of office and multi-use type spaces. That would be office, warehouse, mini warehouse, industrial flex space, indoor light manufacturing, building trades and contractors with indoor storage, daycare, private school, as the location is near residential development. It does have design standards, including screening of mechanical equipment, 35% open space, dark sky lighting, landscape plan required, 2-floor maximum height, which is consistent with what is permitted in the area. Since Highway 27 is under FDOT authority, any changes to the roadway access points would be required to be made by the developer, any and all expansions, et cetera. It does require city water and wastewater. There is a phasing clause, as we have discussed previously this evening, and I believe Mr. J.D. Bickelmeyer is here to represent if you have any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any questions for Dan before we see the developer? No, this will lay over till November 24th. If the developer would like to say anything? Yes, sir.
J.B. Brickelmeyer, 17032 Johns Lake Drive, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. And I'm here on behalf of the owner, legal representation. And does the council have any questions?
Any questions for the applicant? No. None. All right. Thank you very much. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, this will lay over till November 24th. Would someone please introduce 6B4?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 20.36 plus minus acres from City of Leesburg PUD, Planned Unit Development, and C3 Highway Commercial to City of Leesburg PUD, Planned Unit Development, to allow for a mixed-use development for property generally located north of U.S. Highway 441 and east of Pimble Road, lying in Section 20, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Andy. This is also a first reading and will lay over till October 27th. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This project is the former PUD zoning for the RV park. Thank you. I was trying to think RV park. It basically go from PUD and C3 to PUD. This one is requesting 278 multifamily units. And keep in mind, there were 250 spaces for RV units on the previous one. It would also add 12,000 square feet of commercial uses, 2,800 square foot clubhouse, boathouse, and associated amenities. There's no change to the future land use. It's strictly for the zoning. From PUD to PUD with revised conditions. We received no substantive comments from the city departments. The school board said it would be subject to concurrency review. We did not receive any written responses to the ads and letters. Looking back under the PUD requirements again, it's 278 multifamily units with the 12,000 square feet of commercial. Then that commercial use, those commercial uses would be based on the C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District. There'd be a 4-floor maximum height on this one that would create a view of Lake Griffin, and 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit would be as required by code. There are design and architectural standards which are found in the PUD wording and in the exhibits that are in the PUD documents. Again, 35% open space, dark sky lighting, landscaping plan required. We're also including a 30-foot buffer along the western side of the property, right along the boundary, if I can get the light on here. What's along the western side of the property where you can, there we go. Right along there. And there would be a 4-foot berm there upon which there would be a 6-foot privacy fence installed. So you literally have a 10-foot tall buffer. And then
Was that the same that they had with the
that's-
previous? Because there
yes,
was a lot
sir.
of conversation with the,
There was-
was it Bonnier or who?
yes, sir, there was a lot of conversation with the folks next door previously, and so we're keeping those buffers
Same?
and things same
Okay.
in there. And then there's also a 25-foot landscape buffer along the southern property line, which is going to be along 441 there. Standard PUD requirements in terms of the Bahia grass and sidewalks. 2 separate access points on the development, and again, FDOT would require any upgrades to the property access points. There'll be 1.4 acres of active recreation areas, which would include swimming pool, walking trail, children's playground, and dog park, or similar. Again, everything's on city water and wastewater, and our utility departments have indicated that there is capacity at this time to serve as needed on the water and wastewater. And there's also the phasing clause, which we have kept in our PUDs, which would revert this in 4 years to the RE1 standards. Staff sees this as a significant upgrade from the current zoning, which was the RV park, turn this into some apartments which would have a view. There's also the potential there for marina or something like that if the business, and there are no, I think there might be one place to get gas on Lake Griffin, if any, I am not sure anymore.
Yeah.
So
Up at 42.
you have to go a ways. So we think this is a significant opportunity for that side of the highway. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Question, yeah, for Dan. These are apartments,
These are-
basically, is what we're saying, right?
They are
Not
apartments.
condominiums or?
Correct. They
Okay.
are apartments. Now,
So is there a size, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Do we have that?
I will have that for you at the next meeting. I believe we're using the standard numbers. We've always used 8, 9.
We had worked with some in the
Yes, sir.
past. I just wanted to make sure that.
And I don't recall if it's in the PUD specifically on this one, but we will ensure that it is for the next meeting.
Yeah.
So, okay.
The marina would be specifically for the tenants, correct?
Actually, there's the ability in here to do a marina and a restaurant, so staff would hate to see it restricted to
restricted,
the
okay.
tenants.
No.
Because there's a lot of business that could come in off the
Sure.
lake.
Yeah, okay, just wanted
And-
clarification, I like
Okay.
that. Any other questions for Dan?
No.
Will the developer like to say anything?
And Mr. Mike Rankin from LPG is here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Rankin?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission, and staff and audience. For the record, Mike Rankin, President of LPG, 9013 Silver Lake Drive, Leesburg, Florida. Well, the last time I saw a room clear out like this one tonight was the night I offered to sing karaoke. So, the only thing, 2 things. The marina would be open to the public, and the restaurants would be open to the public. We also anticipate restaurants out on 441 in addition to at the waterfront. And even though in the title it mentions RV, there will not be any RVs on this property. Just want to make sure you guys understood that.
Any other questions for Mr. Rankin?
So we can take that out of it, is what you're saying? It'll be removed from the PUD?
Long story short, yes. Long story short, we've been dealing with these folks for quite some time. They inherited this. We finally convinced them, you're not going to get RVs there. So we switched gears, and the name remains. And we've also been working with the neighbors as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any public comments? Again, this will lay over till October 27th. We're going to move on to non-routine items. We have none. Informational reports. City attorney items.
No reports, thank you.
Thank you, city attorney. City manager items. Yes, sir.
So a little bit of a report for you this evening. And I also the purpose is to kind of give you an update on where joint planning agreement conversations, or also known as JPAs, have gone with the county. And so I wanted to just get some feedback on that. And see where the conversation goes. So with that being said, the city staff, again, has met with the county staff on 2 occasions specifically with the concept of negotiating a JPA. The county hosted another meeting, I guess 2 Mondays ago, about different things the BOCC may or may not be looking for through JPAs or TDRs, transfer development rights. But my purpose here today is really to get some direction from you all to make sure we're going down the correct path, we being staff, and go into a direction, ultimately bringing back to you a document that you would approve. And if you wouldn't approve such document, then I kind of want to veer off, if so be it. So really, I think the heartbeat of the JPA conversation for Leesburg has really centered around roads, and roads that the city is required to take pursuant to the ISBA.
Yes.
And roads the county wants us to take as a part of the JPA. And the roads the county wants us to take, I think then breaks down to roads that they may or may not fix before we accept them, or roads that we just need to take. And I think our position would be, or the county's position would be, if we're willing to take the roads, they're happy to give them to us as is. So with that, and I digress a little bit because this is where the October 10 letter becomes conflicting, because we've met with county staff on 2 occasions. We got a form from county staff, which is in your packet, and in neither one of those forms or in our conversations with county staff does it say we have to take CR 48. So that's why that letter, I think, becomes slightly problematic. So I broke the county list down, and this is the list that the county staff gave us, and I put it into a little bit different, easier to read format for you all, into 3 sections. The first section is roads that are required to be accepted pursuant to the ISBA. So that's that paragraph 3, E and F, if the city hits 50% of road frontage, and that we got to take these roads. I think where we have clear agreement between city and county staff is the roads that the city has to take pursuant to the ISBA are Bridges Road, Busby Roads, Dewey Robbins Road, Duncan Road, Farney Road, Number 2 Road, Poe Road, and Windmill Road. Not all segments of those roads in the packet. What we put in the start and the terminus point, and I think those start and ending points are pretty agreeable. So even if you don't want to take these roads, it doesn't matter. You all got to. So what I want to do is get you all to formally tell me we got to take them, we get it, and then I'll go back to the county manager and I think the city attorney's suggestion was she would write up transfer deeds, and so I think we can expedite that list pretty quick. So everybody's good with that list, right?
Yes. Yes.
The next one on the list is the Windsong subdivision. The Windsong subdivision is an old PUD. I did not look it up, but it's an odd PUD in that we brought it in back in the 2000 timeframe, and my recollection of that PUD was the roads and the sidewalks stayed in the county, even though we annexed this PUD. That practice, I'm going to tell you, has been problematic, because the residents there in Windsong have complained about road issues and sidewalk issues, and they talk to the county, and the county says it's not ours to fix. Then they talk to the city. Well, we're in the city, and we say, well, we've got an agreement that says we don't need to fix them. So I really think the correct thing to do is, because those roads are subdivision roads, they're not connector roads, they're not collector roads, they're internal to a subdivision, they function, look, and act like Maple Street, USA. The city really needs to take over those roads.
And that's one way in and one way out.
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 roads in Windsong.
But it all
But it's
circles back
all out of
around.
that, they all connect to, was it Windsong Drive or something, that hits US 27.
Yeah.
I don't think that the roads in there are miserable. I don't think every one of them needs overlay. They probably need some TLC. If you want me to report back to you before we tell the county exactly kind of what condition it is, I kind of think you're up against the typical, you got roads that are 20 years old, there's some pots and cracks and stuff that needs to be fixed. I don't think it breaks the bank. So that, I think we do need to look at taking those over just because it makes practical sense. The next I didn't put terminus roads on there. I have a map, but these are all the roads that the county has requested that we consider taking over. I won't read you the list. It's long. It's also in pictorial form. And it does not include what I would call major roads like 33, 48, 470, or 44. But I will also tell you, you don't have to take these roads. So I'm here this evening to say, do we want to take these roads? And I think if your answer, I'm getting no's, nods of the heads, but I think if our answer is no, we don't want to take these roads, I think my opinion on that matter is that kills the JPA, because then we really have nothing to discuss. So if we don't want to take the roads, I think that ostensibly kills the JPA, and I don't want to go back to the county empty-handed. So I'd like to unveil for you this evening another concept that's different than TDRs. Frankly, I don't think TDRs are your answer on a city level. I know that TDRs, with all due respect, are near and dear to Commissioner Parks's heart, but I don't think they work, and I will tell you why. Typically where TDRs have been used, it's more urban counties. I understand the BOCC wants to keep a rural atmosphere in Lake, and frankly, I think we probably all do to a certain extent. But in places where TDRs have been used, they've been urban counties where the county is in control of utilities and the county is in control of the urban and rural areas. So for TDRs to work in our setup, you need 15 entities, the 14 cities and the county, all to agree on certain issues. But I think the primary one that we will never agree on, or that we're going to struggle to agree on, is what is the receiving area. So, in simple language, what is a receiving area? It's if we designate a place where we don't want densities to occur, then the property owners have an option to get their value of their property rights in lieu of sale, and then you pass public hearings, and you get a direct card to build in a receiving area. So for example, Barkey, and I'm going to use the subdivision out loud, the Barkey PUD that we've done. Let's say we didn't want that to develop, then they would go to the Scales family, they would pay the Scales family X dollars, and then there would be 2,000 units that would need to be put somewhere. Well, where would you put those units? What's the receiving area? And I think the correct receiving area is on a major highway where there's utilities. That's exactly where it's located. Pretty much every one of Leesburg's major annexations have been on highways that have utilities. So that begs the question, what receiving area is there for TDRs? So I think TDRs becomes problematic. And again, if we're not going to take roads, then the bulk of the JPA stuff that we were going to discuss doesn't happen because we're not going to take bulk of the roads. So what is the problem? What do we need to do? What I see the problem is that the BOCC wants to, the best they can, mix rural transition areas, urban areas, and rural areas in Lake County so that Lake County doesn't lose its rural identity and we don't turn into looking like Dade. And I don't mean to be derogatory towards Dade, but what the picture is city on top of city, megalopolis, municipal corporation touching municipal corporation. What the ISBA, and I'm not going to say failed to do because it just wasn't contemplated. When the ISBA was created in 2013 and 2014, we're coming out of a recession, but I will poignantly say the BOCC fails to state this in their argument about how the ISBA and the city has not planned correctly. What the ISBA failed to contemplate was in 2013, we wanted development, including the BOCC. because we were coming out of a recession, and there was no, we were trying to get the economic development motion started, whether that was with making sure utilities were correct or roads were correct or whatever anybody's story that they've now revisited. There was no contemplation of protecting a rural area and bans around our ISBAs to protect the sanctity. I'll say that again because I said it out loud and publicly, the sanctity of the county comp plan. The county comp plan, I think, has a number of different elements in it as a political subdivision that are different than a comp plan for a municipal corporation. We're municipal corporations. We are the city of Leesburg, a municipal corporation under the laws of Florida. It is not typical, nor is it legal for a municipal corporation to have a comp plan that has conservation areas or rural areas. That's not our business. And even if you may, as a city commission, want those areas, then what I'm suggesting to you is to preserve and kind of go where I think the county commission wants to do is they want their comprehensive plan preserved so that it isn't changed by the municipal corporation's right to annex. So once we annex, we have the statutory right to erase their comp plan and put in ours. So that takes away the urban and the conservation areas that we have. So Commissioner Cannell brought to us a few months ago this moratorium policy. So I think what I'm about to tell you is similar to that in that we don't annex certain areas. But what I'm also going to say is it's completely different than a moratorium because it's not called a moratorium. And when you call something a moratorium, you see what happens. The whole world, we dump gasoline on the fire, and the word moratorium sends out this notion of a freeze, stop, no development. I don't know if that's what you want or not. That's for you to vote on. But I think what we do want, as I read the tea leaves, is we want to preserve, or perhaps the city of Leesburg wants to help the county preserve their comprehensive plan. How do we do that? I have now for months said we need to get rid of the ISBA. I am now publicly changing that position. We don't need to get rid of the ISBA. We need to amend it. We need to amend it to put in and recognize transitional zones that we failed or overlooked, better word, in 2013. And we don't need to refer to the county transitional zoning. They've got this in their 25 March comp plan, they created a transitional zoning. Frankly, around Leesburg, you will hardly find this transitional zoning. But what you will find is a lot of conservation, a lot of rural, a lot of low density. So how do we agree not to go into those areas is we agree to have no annexation zones within the existing ISBA. So we simply amend the ISBA. So here's what that would kind of look like. So I put together this map. Sorry, we didn't get it distributed to the public, but it is a public document and it's available. And essentially, can everybody hear? I stepped away from the microphone. But ostensibly what the concept is this is actually overlaid on the county comprehensive plan future land use map, okay? So what we did, so for us, it probably looks backwards because we're white and all the colors are county colors, where you're used to seeing us in colors and the county in white. So you've got that inverse problem. But what it's showing is, and it's that way on purpose because the concept of here is to preserve the county's future land use plan. So what we've done is, this is Leesburg. You really can't see city limits, but you can see the Leesburg ISBA. In my opinion, there's areas that we could say we won't annex. My suggestion would be in the Bridges Road, the south portion of our ISBA, which is Bridges Road and Austin Merritt 33 and 48. By the way, the Oak Ridge subdivision that we talked about is up here. It's actually out of the no annexation zone. So that might be a conversation when that comes back to you. But ostensibly, everything that's below what we've taken in, less the villages. So you see big white sections, this big triangle. This is actually Old Secret Promise that's in the city limits. That's now, it went from village, the Secret Promises PUD to now it's the ARD, Age Restricted Villages Development. This little box down here, that used to be, that was brought in with Secret Promise. We used to call that Renaissance Trails. That's now also been purchased by the villages. So basically the big white sections that you see on this side that aren't part of the no annexation zone are villages or swamp. So the no annexation zone that we would propose is pretty kind of this bottom tier of southwest Leesburg that's between Leesburg and this box, you see that we brought on the red lines, represents the Mascot ISBA. So Mascot would need to join us and create a no annexation zone so that between us of these boundaries, you have slivers of no annexation zones, which preserves the county's future land use map. So we agree we don't annex in that area. The other area that I think is confrontational for the city as far as growth is the 44 corridor. So we know that there's certain good lands and bad lands in there that are going to develop. Orange Bend is one of those, which the county did give us permission to develop, but everything that we haven't annexed to date, we can say that's a no annexation zone. So that's pretty much everything except for Swan Capital, Hills of Leesburg, and Treasure Trove, which are in. As long as we don't get any petitions between now and then, you could carve out that area as a no annexation zone. In the northwest corner of the community, which is Fruitland Park and Lady Lake, we're just not seeing territorial problems with the county. So, and there's really not a whole lot of activity going up in here, so I didn't contemplate putting in a no annexation zone. But I think there's three important points, and then I'll finish on this. And if we propose something like this to the county, I think three important things have to happen. A, we have to agree on the no annexation zones, obviously, us as well as the county. But we also have to have the neighboring cities in kind of these hotbed areas agree as well. Because if they don't agree, we do agree, then I think that creates some havoc.
Agreed.
And so everybody, all the municipal corporations need to share in this preservation of the county future land use map. So the hot corner, as I'm going to call it, is this is the turnpike, this is 27. The hot corner is actually our county four corners, if you will, where Howey, Leesburg, Groveland, and Mascot all touch each other. And so we have to have joint agreement in this area. For Howey, a lot of this area is already in the Yalaha Apopka RPA. So I would think the county would appreciate Howey if they jump on board and they create this section as a no annexation zone, because then that protects the RPA. And Groveland needs to work with us a little bit. I don't think Groveland follows a traditional municipal urban planning aspect in a city of hamlets. I'm just going to put that out there with no disrespect, but that's not how we're developing, because what you see in Leesburg is clustered development along 27, what I think the county would call a receiving area. Or 44. So we got to work with Groveland on what areas up this 27 Turnpike corridor that they would preserve, and then the same goes with Mascot. And then if all these entities go in there in central Western Lake, you would have a strip of no annexation zone between Leesburg, Groveland, Mascot, Howey, which is, I think, where the county wants to go, preserve the county's plan. So it's not the moratorium that says no growth, no annexation. It just can't be developed in Leesburg. So developer comes in here, they want to annex this parcel under this plan, Dan would say, that's a no annexation zone, you got to go see the county. Part two, we also have to recognize we have utility issues and that for the most part, the city of Leesburg can serve everything that's in our ISBA. So if we agree not to annex, we don't want to give up that territorial right to a city who may be more aggressive than us. That's why these other cities need to come to the table. In our CUP, in our plan, we've submitted to the district that we have to provide water and sewer to a certain area, which is basically our ISBA box. So we don't want to give up the territory and those numbers to a community who might steal it from us if we agree with the county not to annex. So they need to be parties to this. Oh, by the way, the amendment process for the ISBA is everybody who was at the party originally has to come back to the party and everybody has to jointly work together. My guess is that as long as we have the 5 entities, Howey, Leesburg, Groveland, Mascot, and the county working together, we could probably accomplish this in this corner because it doesn't affect the other municipalities. So number one is we all agree to no annexation zones. Number 2 is we all respect our 180 rights. So that's a statutory reference. 180 is a statutory reference that municipal corporations can kind of stake out areas inside and outside their boundaries where they're going to be the providers of utilities. So the county doesn't have utilities. Through this agreement, though, we will commit to the county as well as the other cities. So we'll protect our territorial areas and provide what areas may develop in the county. We'll provide them with water sewer as long as it's financially feasible. So that's a big, the second part of the negotiation that would have to go into a reconsideration of the amendment to the ISBA. And then the third one is, if this is considered a taking to the Burt-Harris Act, or if this, we get challenged by property owners who might be in this no annexation zone, who doesn't like the county comp plan, and who may be looking in the future to come to municipal corporations to municipalize, then the county needs to defend it. The county needs to defend any type of lawsuit for an amendment to the ISB, for the amendment to the ISBA would need to be defended by the county, because in actuality that would be the county defending their comprehensive plan. So I don't think that that's a big ask. Those are kind of the broad strokes that I present to you all this evening. And if the flavor is TDRs aren't going to work, a JPA is not going to work, I really don't want to go back to the county empty-handed without another solution to consider. So this evening, what I'm asking you then, based on your response, is we need to move forward with those have-to roads.
Yes.
And y'all said yes to that, so I'll transmit that to the county. We'll look a little bit more into the Windsong roads to see what kind of financial burden we're bringing on.
Yep.
And we'll say no on all the other stuff. When we say no on all the other stuff, this is my big lead. I'm going to take the liberty to present a red line amended version of the ISBA to the county with the no annexation proposal. The no annexation zone proposal.
Any commissioner comments?
I have a question. Is there any other city that is not willing to do ISB, or do you know of any other city that is refusing to do JPA, excuse me, or IDRs?
Groveland has a JPA, and we've had this conversation. I recommended right out of the bat, don't do a Groveland JPA. I don't think that was a very friendly city document. And beyond Groveland, I don't know where all the other JPA conversations are.
Same with IDRs too. That goes hand in hand, or
Yes, nobody's agreed to TDRs yet.
TDR, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going back to the TDR thing, where TDRs seem to really work are in counties where you have a large urban center like Alachua that has Gainesville, and then a whole bunch of little communities. And we're just not like that. So I just don't see how that is going forward. Where would a collector site has to be your big urban site to have that type of
And can one city become a?
And is that going to be
The site for the whole
Leesburg?
county?
That's
Are
what
we
I'm saying.
going
I was saying, who
to have
determines the credit,
high-rises
though,
in
you know?
Leesburg to, I just don't see that as us ready for something like that. We're not like Gainesville that's got, 60,000 college kids or what, and they need more apartments and all that kind of stuff. So I don't, I'm not a big fan of that part of it. And I've always said to Al when we've talked in our private talk, we're supposed to be looking out for Leesburg. And so far on the JPA side, I don't see what's in it for Leesburg, other than, I like that what we have, our ability to do business the way we're doing it has been a good thing for the city of Leesburg. And, so any further agreements down the road, I want to know, why, I want people telling me why it's good for Leesburg. And, what's being offered so far is us to take all of Sunnyside and take care of the roads out there. Well, we're not even 10% of the roads out there. Or they want us to take Dixie.
Correct.
That's another road on there. Isn't that a state road, 44? I mean, I don't understand where the list came from. And it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
But wouldn't the JPRs and the JPAs and the TDRs have to be consistent with our ISBA since it's already existing?
No.
Well, you're amended now.
You're amended.
No, I'm saying without the amendment. I'm saying just as what they're presenting.
I think that the simple answer is no.
They don't have to. But isn't that in the goal
I
is
think
to
the
work
flavor
together
is that they
to,
run parallel.
yeah.
And my position has been, why are we going to have 3 or 4 different agreements that are saying the same thing? It's going to make it more complex. We need one agreement that guides how we're going to work together. And we have that agreement in place, the ISBA. And it seems like what's creating the problem is the county's upset that their future land use map is being overridden by municipal annexation. So if we're in agreement not to annex in certain areas in our box, as we refer to it, then that creates this band of county comprehensive plan that stays superior for the duration of the ISBA.
I'd just jump in and add the sort of simplistic aspect of it too. I mean, we have the existing agreement. We have 2 existing agreements, and instead of blowing everything up, creating a completely new framework, under this suggestion, you basically stay under the same framework that the city's been operating under for 10 years now, 11 years now, and so you don't change anything too dramatically, but you do, sort of address some of the concerns, I guess, that have been talked about among the different governmental units. It's an easier mechanism. I think it's a sensible mechanism to bring about some kind of change. I think that's the place to do it in the existing agreement rather than, like Al said, creating 3 or 4 different agreements that now we've got to look at all of them to figure out what our one agreement is. That's always more complicated, and I think boiling it down into what we've already got, making some changes there is the right answer instead of blowing everything up and starting over again.
Do you need a motion from us, Al, to move forward with this, or to take the road?
It would.
Doesn't hurt.
But what specific would it,
I think, Al could
So-
maybe recap what his request was, but I think he had like 3 bullet points of what he was looking for direction
I think the motion
on.
would be to grant the city manager the authority to contemplate an ISBA amendment with the county.
The no annexation zone.
Including no annexation zones.
Yeah. I think that's a good.
And what if that doesn't go, we come back to where?
should the roads that we will take be part of that?
No,
That's a separate
yeah,
issue?
that's separate. We need to get the roads that we have to take. We need to take those.
Correct. If
Right.
they're part of our
Yep.
ISA, we need to
Right.
take those.
Right.
So we'll
Things
do
in-
that. That's a side deal.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
get that one going pronto, and then we'll present them a concept of a no annexation zone amendment to the ISBA.
So now will we be considered as we're controlling our growth? Is that the goal?
Man, that's a trick question.
That's-
Because if
I'm
you
just
ask
trying to
me, I'm
understand,
gonna tell you
Sam.
we are controlling our growth. We're managing it. Now, whether we're managing it to the whims of the residents or the BOCC, that's another question.
We always talk about growth, and to me, all we're doing is planning. because the growth numbers,
That's true.
what are we, how many?
40,000.
Right. You know, there's 40,000 out there, but that's just planned. It's not, you know, we're just trying to plan this, and I think this is a good idea.
So what is the time frame that we're talking when presenting and then coming back? What are we,
It depends. You know, I think it could be lickety split. It depends
Depends
on
on the
how
candidate.
the devil's in the details.
This track is a lot faster.
totally buys into what we say, you know, I could see by Christmas we could boom, boom, zip it
great.
together and be done. You know, but the devil's going to be in the details and in the language and you know how we draw the lines and are all the cities going to jump on board? So it could be super quick or it could be something else that drags on. But I don't want. But this is a pretty consequential shift in the discussion, which is precedent. When you guys tell me no, we're not taking county roads that we don't have to take, I think the heartbeat of the JPA now goes away. So like I said, I don't want to go back to county empty-handed. So so we're not just saying no. We're coming to the county. We're not being contrarians. We're working with them, whether they believe it or not. We're coming up with a concept that really benefits them, not us.
but we have to have the buy-in of the cities that below at the bottom.
But that's part of your question. How long will it take?
That's what I'm asking. That's what my
we've got
concern
5
is.
jurisdictional buy-in, and if everybody likes it, it'll be quick. And if everybody likes it and still it's going to be devil in the details, it'll take us some time.
And I think sticking with the foundation of what exists probably helps with that efficiency as well.
I'll say this, it'll be quicker than the JPA or TDRs.
3 years.
Absolutely, for sure.
Real quicker.
For sure.
That's my opinion.
All right, so who made the motion? Did someone make the motion?
There was
That
one,
one really.
yeah.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
The motion was to authorize the city manager to contemplate a amendment to the ISBA that includes no annexation zones. That would be the motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the commission?
Oh, did we hear? Oh, you just,
Jimmy made the motion.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Connell seconded it. Any further discussion from the commission?
No, I'm
Any
sorry.
public comments? Seeing none on the motion on the floor. Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. Thank you, City Manager, for all that. And we will go into roll call.
Commissioner Bury?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Connell?
Just one thing. I used the word temporary stay on annexation, not moratorium.
You did.
That was good.
Commissioner Berry?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mayor Reesman?
We did receive a application for the Historic Preservation Board this evening, and I know we just appointed those, but rather than bringing it back to another meeting, Joshua Brewster, who's in the audience, applied for the Historic Preservation Board, and I wanted to see if we could get, if you would be okay, we get a motion to go ahead and appoint him to that board. I know we have vacancies on that,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint him to the board.
I second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call on appointing Joshua Brewster to the Historic Preservation Board.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Reesman?
Yes. And lastly, I want to thank the Leesburg Police Department, Leesburg Special Events. They put on a phenomenal national night out down here in downtown. It was absolutely beautiful. Kudos to all of them. A couple events that you guys make you aware of. October 25th, if you're coming downtown, trick or treat on Main Street. I think we had 9,000 people down here last time. October 25th from 4 to 7:30, I think it is. So it'll be a great event. And then our recreation department, October 24th to the 26th, is doing a haunted house at Moat Morris. I encourage you to do that. It'll be fun. It was a great time last year. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.